Imagine the year as 1302. The once mighty Byzantine Empire, a shadow of its former glory, is clinging to life. Its eastern frontier in Anatolia, specifically the region of Bithynia, is crumbling. For decades, Turkish raiders have been chipping away at the empire's defenses, but now a new and formidable leader has emerged from the chaos. Osman Gazi, the founder of what would become the Ottoman Empire. At this time, Osman was more of a tribal chieftain than a sultan. His warriors, a mix of Turkmen nomads and Ghazi fighters, warriors for the Islamic faith, were conducting relentless raids deep into Byzantine territory. They weren't just plundering. They were systematically blockading and besieging major Byzantine cities like Prusa, Nicaea, and Nicomedia. The local Byzantine population was in a state of constant terror, either fleeing their homes or getting trapped within fortress walls, slowly starving. The countryside, once a source of wealth and food for Constantinople, was now a hostile no-man's land. The Byzantine Emperor Andronikos II Palaiologos was in a tough spot. The empire's coffers were empty, and its military was a patchwork of overstretched garrisons and unreliable mercenaries. Still, he had to do something. His first attempt to push back was led by his own son and co-emperor, Michael IX. Michael gathered a force, a mix of Byzantine regulars and Alan mercenaries, and marched into Anatolia. However, the campaign was a disaster before it even began. The Alan mercenaries were more interested in raiding the local Byzantine populace than fighting the Turks. Disgusted and unable to control his own troops, Michael was forced to retreat without ever engaging Osman's forces. This failure only emboldened Osman and made the situation even more desperate. With the threat growing daily, Emperor Andronikos decided to send another expedition. This time, he placed his trust in one of his most reliable commanders, the Megas Hitterich's George Mazalan. Mazalan was a seasoned veteran. He was given a relatively small force, about 2,000 men, a mix of Byzantine soldiers, and once again, those same Alan mercenaries who had caused so much trouble for Michael. His mission was clear: march to the city of Nicomedia, relieve the siege, and push Osman's forces back. It was a daunting task. Mazalan's army was not just small. It was also outnumbered by the combined forces of Osman and his allied Turkish clans, who could muster around 5,000 light cavalry and nomadic archers. As Mazalan and his army marched eastward from Constantinople, they crossed the Bosphorus and began their journey toward Nicomedia. Osman, a shrewd and cunning strategist, was well aware of their approach. He wasn't going to wait to be attacked in his siege lines. Instead, he decided to set a trap. He chose his ground carefully, a plain near a place called Bapheus, not far from the besieged city of Nicomedia. This terrain was perfect for his style of warfare. It was open enough for his fast-moving cavalry to maneuver freely, but also had features that could be used for ambush. On July 27, 1302, Mazalan's army arrived at the plain of Bapheus. They were weary from the march and likely underestimated their opponent. The Byzantine force was a traditional heavy infantry and cavalry army. They relied on formation, discipline, and heavy armor. Facing them was something entirely different. Osman's army was composed primarily of light cavalry and horse archers. These warriors were masters of hit-and-run tactics. They could strike with lightning speed and then melt away before a conventional army could even react. The battle began. Osman's forces didn't charge head-on into the Byzantine shield wall. Instead, they used their superior mobility to their advantage. A portion of his army, led by Osman himself, engaged the Byzantine center. This was a feint designed to pin Muzawan's main force in place. While the Byzantines were occupied, the rest of the Turkish cavalry, including contingents from allied tribes, began to envelop them. The key to the Ottoman strategy was their archers. Waves of horse archers would gallop towards the Byzantine lines, unleash a volley of arrows, and then quickly retreat before the Byzantines could countercharge. This tactic, known as the Parthian shot, was devastatingly effective against slow-moving, heavily armored troops. The constant rain of arrows sowed confusion, broke formations, and inflicted casualties without risking a direct engagement. Muzawan's Alan mercenaries, who formed a significant part of his army, were the first to break. They were not accustomed to this kind of swirling, relentless attack. Seeing the battle turning against them, and perhaps more interested in self-preservation than loyalty, they began to withdraw from the fight. Their retreat left a gaping hole in the Byzantine flank, which the Turks immediately exploited. Suddenly, the Byzantine army was not just flanked, but almost completely surrounded. Panic began to set in. The disciplined Byzantine formations, their greatest strength, crumbled under the pressure. What started as an orderly battle descended into a chaotic rout. George Muzawan, seeing that the battle was lost, had no choice but to order a full retreat. He fought a desperate rearguard action, trying to salvage what was left of his army and get them to the relative safety of Nikomedia's walls. The escape was brutal. The swift Turkish cavalry harried the fleeing Byzantines every step of the way, cutting down stragglers and turning the retreat into a bloodbath. Muzawan, through sheer luck and determination, managed to reach Nicomedia with a remnant of his force, but the army he had led out of Constantinople was effectively destroyed. The Battle of Bapheus was not a massive clash of empires in terms of numbers, but its consequences were monumental. For Osman, it was a spectacular victory. It was the first time a major regular Byzantine field army had been defeated by the forces of a single Turkish bey, and it cemented his reputation as the most powerful Ghazi leader in the region. Warriors from all over Anatolia flocked to his banner, swelling the ranks of his army and providing him with the manpower to create a true state. Historians consider the Battle of Bapheus the foundational moment of the Ottoman state. It transformed Osman from a tribal chieftain into a sovereign ruler in his own right, the founder of a dynasty. For the Byzantine Empire, the defeat was a catastrophe. It signaled the end of their ability to project power in Bithynia. With their last field army shattered, the Byzantines could no longer hope to defend the countryside. They were forced to abandon it completely, retreating to their coastal fortresses. This led to a massive refugee crisis, as the Christian population of Bithynia fled the Turkish advance, changing the demographic makeup of the region forever. The loss of this rich agricultural land was also a huge economic blow to an already struggling empire. The fall of Bithynia was now inevitable. One by one, the great cities fell to Osman and his son, Orhan. Prusa fell in 1326 and became the first Ottoman capital. Nicaea and Nicomedia, the very city Muzawan had tried to save, followed soon after. The Ottoman state, born on the battlefield of Bapheus, now had a firm territorial base from which to expand. They had crossed a crucial threshold. From this point on, the Ottomans were no longer just raiders. They were a permanent, expanding power on the European stage. The momentum gained at Bapheus would carry them across the Dardanelles into Europe itself, and eventually, a century and a half later, to the walls of Constantinople. The fall of the city in 1453 was the final act in a drama that began on that dusty plain in 1302. The Battle of Bapheus was the spark that lit the Ottoman fire, a fire that would reshape the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this dive into history interesting, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories from the past. See you next time.